Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Grace Murray, and I'm happy to welcome you this afternoon to this meditation and mindfulness session from the Freer and Sackler Smithsonian's National Museum of Asian Art. Every Friday, we'll be using an artwork from the museum to inspire our meditation practice. Today, we will be exploring meditative space with teacher Aparna Sadananda, and our focused artwork will be the Moongate Garden. The Moongate Garden is located just outside the entrance to the museum. I hope many of you have seen it before, but if you haven't, you'll get a chance to experience it virtually today. And it is inspired by Chinese garden design, including the Temple of Heaven in Beijing, which dates to 1420. To begin today's program, we're going to get a view inside the Moongate Garden from Shelley Gaskins, a horticulturist with Smithsonian Gardens. After Shelley speaks with us, then we'll move into the meditation practice led by Aparna. We'll take time for your questions at the end of the meditation. So now I'll turn it over to Shelley.
Hello, everyone. I just want you to know that this is a video hot off the presses. We recorded yesterday, and I'm just going to give you a kind of a walking tour through the Moongate Garden. So this is in the Inade Haupt Garden, which is a 4.5-acre rooftop garden. Within the Haupt Garden is the Moongate Garden. And as Grace mentioned, the Moongate Garden was inspired by the Temple of Heaven in Beijing, China, which was a complex used by the emperors to celebrate harvest and pray for harvest. And if you notice the dominant shapes here, we have circle and a square. Those in Chinese culture are representative, the circle being unity or oneness or heaven, and the square being the realm of man or earth. So as we pass through the circle and the square, heaven on earth or a garden, the architects used this or adopted the symbolism in this space, and you see it here in the circular bridge over the square pond. You also see here the dragonflies, which are new to the space, and they're part of the Smithsonian Gardens campus-wide exhibition called Habitat. And this one focuses on how the dragonfly can be an indicator of good water quality. You'll see that the plants in this space are predominantly green, and that was an intentional choice to create calmness, serenity, a place for contemplation. I'm just going to highlight a few of the plants here. So this is a garden tour. This weeping cherry is special. It's smaller than ones you'll see in lots of the images, but it is in fact a seedling of the cherry tree, the larger cherry tree that was here in the past. Also, these are Japanese katsura trees. They'll mature like 40 to 60 feet tall. They have this fantastic fall color upcoming, so I invite you to the garden to see that. And the leaves have a smell of burnt sugar, which is lovely. Underplanted with azaleas, some epimedium here, parfugium. A lot of texture, but not a lot of color, green being the exception. As we go over the bridge here, I'll point out that the 4 paths on the bridge all are, they are the directional signs of the compass, north, south, east, and west. And this is our lotus pot, which if you were here last summer, you would have seen a big white blooming lotus in the middle of it. And I invite you back next summer for that. Just a little bit more about the Habitat exhibit. I pointed out here only to say that one of the core messages in our Habitat exhibit is that everything is connected. All people, animals, plants, spaces, everything. We're all connected, and I think this audience knows that. This is, as we said before, the Moongate Garden. So just to highlight the Moongates again, big pink granite Moongates, very special and unique to the Smithsonian for that. And there are 4 Moongates in this garden. There are 2 standing and then 2 reclining. And the reclining ones become a seating area, which you can see. you'll see there in the screen, and then I will bring you back over to the standing Moongate and the additional reclining Moongate. And the tree here in this, that's centered here, is a dove tree, which has in the spring big white bracts that make the tree look like it's covered in doves. And with that, I wish you a peaceful practice.
Thank you so much, Shelley, for taking us into the garden and cultivating a meditative space for us. So today's meditation theme, if you have not already guessed, is about cultivating meditation spaces. And this connects very well with the week theme, if you were part of our Monday practice, that we started about meditating on embracing the new transition as we transition from summer to fall. So let's see how we can cultivate a meditative space inspired by this beautiful Moongate garden. And let me begin by sharing my screen. And please take your time to settle down in a comfortable way. For this meditation, you could sit upright, and that would be most ideal. But if for any reason sitting upright is not an option, you can always lie down and practice this as well. But see if you can have your screen then placed in a way that it's easy to open and close the eyes to look at the art. And also, as we begin the meditation, I would like to start by saying thank you to Katrina Carter, Ariella, and Karen S., who had suggested this theme in summer. Thank you. Please settle down. Find a tall spine. And feel free to move around a little bit till you could transition from movement to a posture of stillness that is sustainable for a little longer. Then allow your gaze to drop, to close your eyes if that's more meditative. And as always, we'll start by centering our attention. Today, let's start by sharing a deep breath together. Together, let's inhale. And together, we let go. And this time, maybe a little slower. Deep breath in together. Deep breath out. Let's do this 3 more times. And let's bring awareness to the fact that the breath is moving through the body, which is resting in stillness, supported wherever the body makes contact. So now let's bring our attention to where the body is touching the floor, the carpet, the seat, the backrest. And let this awareness of the support remind us that we're here now in the space that we're in. And let's take a few breaths, feeling a little more embodied. Slowing down the breath so it feels comfortable. And this posture of being still feels like a natural part of being this moment. And if for any reason you find that your breath is still pacing, I invite you to take inspiration from the sound of the music in the background. The feet relax, the shins and calves relax, let the knees relax, thighs relax, the hips and the feet relax. Lower back, upper back, shoulders relax. The chest and the waist relax. The arms, wrists and hands relax. The neck, the face, the head relax. The entire body relax into awareness. Breathing in, we're here. Breathing out, now. Now let's bring our awareness to the perineum or the pelvic floor, the seat, the base of the core, through which the body is supported by the chair seat. Let our awareness reside into those very foundations of the torso, of the torso being seated. If you already have a practice of Mula Bandha, please feel free to practice breathing with the awareness of Mula Bandha. And if you are unfamiliar with anatomy or the Mula Bandha, simply imagine that your inhale is going all the way down to the very base of the core of the torso, where you can feel the chair seat. Just imagine your attention is guiding the breath to that space as you inhale. Your exhale is originating from that pelvic space. Now let's bring our awareness slightly higher into the pelvis, into the hips, from the space where the torso joins the hips, all the way down. As our breath is reaching down to this energy center, which is known as one's own abode. Allow your awareness take you into this deep state of rest, like when one feels at home, like when one is experiencing the comfort, safety, the belongingness to one's home. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Continue for a few more breaths. Now imagine that you're breathing from the rightmost corner of the pelvis to the leftmost corner, from the right hip towards the left hip. And now for a few breaths, let your awareness train the leftmost edge of the torso. Now for the next few breaths, imagine you're breathing from the left armpit to the right armpit. And then from the right armpit through the right edge of the torso, the rightmost point in the pelvis. Take a moment to notice how you just connected your awareness to a square shape, a field that includes the energy centers, being at home, feeling in one's own power, and off the heart space, seed of love, compassion, connection that transcends the self. So each time your awareness ascends from the base towards the heart, you can imagine you're raising your awareness from the earth to the heavens. So now we'll inhale through the left edge of the torso, the leftmost point in the pelvis to the left armpit. Exhaling, let our awareness trace a line through the chest and closing the heart space to the right armpit. On this next inhale, let your awareness trace down the right edge of the torso. And on the exhale, from the rightmost to the leftmost points, the pelvis. Allow your awareness to move through the square, You're traveling from the earth to the heaven back to the earth. Each pair of successive breaths. And now as your awareness to the body, the breath, have aligned, so this process of breathing through the square feels very effortless, very spontaneous. Just imagine that now the corners of the square have melted. Now there is no beginning or end. Your breath is moving through a circular shape, like a seamless transition between the energy centers governing your presence here and now, to the experience of the heaven, of peace and calmness in the heart space. You could imagine that as you breathe, you're tracing a semicircle from the pelvis through the left side to the heart, breathing out from the heart through the other half of the circle back to the pelvis. Observe how you have the power to choose whether you would like to stay more in the earthly realm or the space of the heart. Notice how you already have the inner wisdom to choose which one would serve the purpose better, which one would align with the flow of life right now. Would you like to breathe through a square or breathe through the circle? Or do you want to take one breath through the square, one breath through the circle? Choose the way you would like to breathe. And let's remind ourselves that this is happening right here, right now, where we are. And the fact that we're all breathing together reminds us of the connection we've already cultivated by coming together in this meditation. So carry with you the breath of your choice. Slowly open your eyes and imagine the self being transported. I think we're all in the Moongate garden now, inviting ourselves. Take a seat. We've all come together for this practice, kind of physically in that garden space. All of us inhaling together, exhaling together. All of us cultivating our own inner heaven on earth. Sharing that meditative space with each other, and also sharing that meditative space with the trees around. Receiving oxygen from these trees, receiving the force of life into the body. All of us experiencing our own inner heaven right where we are, just as we are. Being in that experience, one breath at a time. You feel you're ready to bring this experience and this imaginary space back to the very physical, real space that you're in right now. Continue with your breath. Continue with the alignment and harmony you've cultivated. Notice how your presence becomes a source of energy. It combines these qualities of being peaceful from a sense of inner alignment. Imagine this energy radiating out and filling up the space that you're in, maybe in the form of light, maybe a color of your choice. Notice the meditative space being cultivated just by our embodied presence. You are creating this meditating space. You are the meditative space. We're here now. We're together. Slowly beginning to further deepen the breath. We're ready to carry this energy into the rest of this day. Let us set intentions. So while we do what we must do, our presence can cultivate meditative spaces. Our words, thoughts, and actions We bring the heaven to earth. When the intentions are set, when we are ready to embrace life of the meditation practice, join our palms together, acknowledging the light within with a silent namaste. We also offer a silent namaste to the architects, to the people who cultivated this garden for us, and to all those people who are maintaining this space for us. Thanks to the energy and guidance of all the ancient sages and seers, and teachers, through whom the light of yoga has traveled to us through space and time. Finally, let's close by sharing a namaste with each other, honoring this being here now in togetherness. Like we're saying, the light in me honors the light in you. And thank you all so much for joining me in this journey of cultivating a meditative space. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in this meditation. I hope you found this practice useful, and I hope you enjoyed the garden tour. Now, I would like to pass on the screen to Grace so she can moderate the questions. And if you have any questions for me about the meditation reader, please feel free to post it on the chat. I'd like to acknowledge the music that we use here. It's called The Subtle Breath. It is by the artist Desert Dwellers and from the album Muladhara Yoga Dub, played on Yogi Tunes. If you're interested, I would leave all these details in the chat, so feel free to check it out when you're done with the meditation and the post-meditation questions. Thank you so much once again. Namaste.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As Aparna said, if you have questions for her about today's meditation practice, or if you have questions for our guest Shelley about the Moongate Garden, feel free to put those into the chat. And I believe Shelley has a few more images of the garden that she could show us now. Would that be possible, Shelley?
Yes, possible.
Wonderful. To me, the Moongate Garden is a very special place because it's in a busy area near the National Mall, right behind the Smithsonian Castle, but you can still feel like you're so secluded when you step inside it. And I think it's really the design that helps to create that feeling of peace and an enclosed space and a secluded, peaceful space. So Shelley just has a few more images of the garden to share with us.
We're enjoying the dragonflies, close up of the dragonfly. This is the lotus from last year. The lotus this year spent more time in the greenhouse than had been planned due to the pandemic. An incredible flower. This actual cultivar is called Hindu White. Just an amazing, and the lotus is an amazing thing. And I think this is the audience for the Thich Nhat Hanh's quote of "No mud, no lotus." It's about suffering. So the mud is required, right, for the lotus to bloom. Right?
Shelley, we have a question coming in from Teresa. She's asking, how were the plants in the garden chosen?
Plants in the Moongate Garden are all Asian plants, and then chosen for form and structure and maintenance and our climate. But this is the one spot where there's exclusively Asian plants throughout the garden. Many of our cultivated plants are Asian plants, but this garden has exclusively Asian plants in it.
And who's the sculptor who created the dragonflies that are currently in the Habitat exhibition?
They were created by our landscape architect. She did a CAD drawing of them, and then the Smithsonian exhibits cut them out of aluminum, and then we had a contractor attach them to the poles. So this is Smithsonian Gardens product, if you will.
Wonderful.
This is Edgeworthia, also called paperbush, blooming here next to the Moongate. The Moongate in winter. I just got cooler looking at that. Isn't that funny? Just got coolness. Not unlike my background. The space, contemplative and reflective.
I love to see the garden when it snows. It's really incredible. And I'm glad that Patricia just asked, is the garden open now? Would you like to answer that, Shelley?
The gardens are all open now, and there are reminders for social distancing on all the benches. And there are also reminders as you walk through. You may have noticed in the tour, there's like blue spots on the ground, and those are all reminders of social distancing. We also have hand sanitizer at the gates. And signs that say in both English and Spanish that say wear a mask, keep your distance. And then we even have signs for the gardeners that say give our gardeners space, 6 feet. So the gardens are open, and our habitat exhibition, which I mentioned during the tour, is campus wide. So every museum has some bit of habitat at it. So you could spend a day on the mall doing the outdoor exhibit of habitat, and I would invite you to do that. Oh, there's the building of the Moongate.
Yeah. So there's another question about that open space or the slit at the top of each moon-shaped gate. And does that slit have some significance?
It does. Thank you for asking that. That actually was now, a traditional Moongate doesn't have the break in the top, but this was the architect's idea that this garden would be a keyhole into culture. So it's to mimic a keyhole. A traditional Moongate wouldn't have the break. Ours are unique in that, this garden, this whole garden, not just the Moongate garden, but the whole garden is a keyhole into culture.
And so was the sculptor who created the stonework, was that the architect of the garden overall?
The Moongates, honestly, I don't know who carved the Moongates, but the design was the architect's design, but I don't know.
Okay. Rebecca asks, what is the meaning of Moongate? I think it's that it's a circular opening, like the moon that you walk through to enter the space. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Shelley.
I don't, but I can say that they're not specific to Asian gardens. They're a garden feature. You will see them in lots of gardens, and nature and gardens are always connected, right? So that the fact that there would be a representation of the moon, because people would plant by the moon and harvest by the moon. So it seems like an obvious connection for a garden to have a moon gate in it. I've seen them in lots of different styled gardens.
And Shelley, someone else just asked if you are a horticulturist. I will say yes, Shelley is a horticulturist. Do you want to tell us anything about your background or how you came to work for Smithsonian Gardens?
I have been at Smithsonian Gardens for 20 years, and I am a horticulturist. And people are like, where was your training? And my training was at Smithsonian Gardens because I have been there 20 years. 4 years of school is nothing compared to 20 years in the Haupt Garden. I also work in the Folger Rose Garden.
Wonderful.
So love of plants, wanted to be outside, and I didn't know public gardens existed when I was thinking about this as a career, but I feel like the luckiest girl in the world to have landed here. And girl after 20 years.
There's a question, and this is an interesting one about the plants that are brought inside for the winter. I know that the plants in the area adjacent to the Moongate go into a greenhouse for the winter, and someone is just wondering when that happens and when they should bring their own, some of their own plants indoors for the winter.
We start bringing those plants from the greenhouse. I always say they winter in the greenhouse and summer in the Haupt garden. We start bringing them down in late May, early June, because it takes us a month to do it. And then we usually take them back in October. This year, they did not come down for, I'm going to say, obvious reasons. The pandemic, we didn't spend a month bringing the plants down because we weren't on site the whole time. And for people's own plants, you have to kind of know the cold hardiness of the plants. We take them back sort of in an order that would allow the ones that are most tender to go back first. And, you know, anything that's like sort of below 50, most plants you would start to worry about. There are some that will take a frost even, and some that need a frost. So it really depends on exactly what plant you have, and maybe where it's native to would be a very big help. Maybe it's if it's literally a houseplant from the tropics, it doesn't want to be below 50. In the 40s, you're really in danger, and obviously anywhere, below 35, you're going to freeze it.
Well, I really want to thank you, Shelley, so much for your time. And I want to thank Aparna for leading such a beautiful meditation today on the theme of creating meditative space. Thank you to everyone. Peace to all. Please stay safe and join us again.